Welcome back everybody. This is part 23 on What If Kid Asta Meets Noelle's Mother. I do not own Black Clover or any of the characters in this video. Chapter 32. Please call for an emergency summit of the kingdoms. I believe it to be necessary. I'll contact Lalopika first thing in the morning, Asir told Evanora. Evanora's lips formed a smile. Thank you, Queen Asir, Evanora remarked. When you do, tell her that this emergency summit should be in the Heart Kingdom. Sure thing, Asir remarked. Evanora nodded before ending the call between the two of them. Afterwards, Asir turned to face Ren. If Lalopika wants to do this meeting the same day, I call her, then it's best that we head to bed now. Yes, Ren nodded before stretching a tad. Well, I'll be heading back to House Silva for the night. Good night, Asir. Good night, Ren dear. Asir smiled at the Elysia elf tribe chief, watching Ren leave the throne room. Once Ren left the throne room, Asir stretched again, then strutted out of the throne room and headed for her personal bedroom. Inside the castle and opened the door. While the bed itself belonged to the Clover Castle, the pictures, along with the bedside table, as well as the dresser were her belongings from her Silva family royal house. She changed out of her royalty clothes, put the Clover Kingdom crown on the bedside table, and put on pajamas before going over to the bed and lying on top of the bed, with her head facing the ceiling. Her hair was not tied in its usual ponytail, thus letting it flow down her back as she laid down on the bed. After a good few minutes of listening to the creatures outside, Asir spoke up to herself. I wonder how the call with Lalopika will go tomorrow. Asir wondered aloud. Will she accept an emergency summit meeting? She chuckled lightly to herself. Well, actually, I know she will. It's more so if Undine will approve or not. She laughed lightly to herself again. Ah well, no need to worry about it right now. I'll save my worry for when I actually call Lalopika dear tomorrow. The next morning came as quickly as Asir had waited Akka sleeping. She got out of bed early, like say, 8 in the morning, did her usual morning routine, then headed to the throne room of the castle to finish up the paperwork she didn't finish last night. Asir hummed to herself as she finished the last of the paperwork. She glanced at the clock and noticed that the time was closing into 11 a.m. I should probably call Lalopika, dear soon. Good thing I came in then. Ren walked into the throne room, changed to her usual white dress, but with no cloak, Faye happily on her shoulder. Asir turned to face Ren and Faye and smiled brightly. Hello Faye. Ren dear. Asir smiled. I sent a quick call to the house after I finished up some leftover paperwork from last night. So that means you got the message to come here after you woke up, got dressed, and had breakfast, and brought you some, Ren said, tossing Asir a muffin. Knowing you skipped breakfast to wrap up the paperwork. Asir chuckled lightly as she caught the muffin and took a bite out of it. You got me there, Ren. Asir laughed. Figures, Ren sighed. You shouldn't make that a habit, or else your kids will worry. I know, Asir replied while stacking papers together, then putting them away. But I cannot help it. Well try. Otherwise I'm sicking your daughter at you. Ren smirked, making Faye laugh. Which daughter? Asir asked while snickering in light amusement. Whichever is the forceful one. So Noelle. Ren chuckled. Now then, let's make that call, right? Asir nodded, pulling out her communication device and placing it on her desk. Within the throne room of the Clover Castle, then pressed a couple buttons on said communication device. After a few moments, a screen appeared which showed a young woman with long black hair. She has a small beauty mark under the right corner of her mouth. The young woman was wearing casual attire, which consisted of a long-sleeved white shirt with a magenta section on the front. She also wears a long pink skirt and a pair of rimless glasses that have dark red arms and bridge. Next to her stood a tall, muscular man. His spiky, black hair has a white patch above his forehead. He has a large scar running from his left cheek down. His man was wearing a sleeveless, light-colored robe with a deep V-cut neck and a dark-colored center section on the front. The robe has slits for both legs. His wide belt has a series of medallions along it, and he carries his grimoire by sliding it under the belt. Under this, he wears a pair of light-colored pants that are cropped at mid-calf. His dark-colored, knee-high boots leave the tops of his toes uncovered. He also wears several pieces of jewelry, a pair of teardrop-shaped earrings that each have 3 pieces dangling from the bottoms, a pair of large anklets over his boots, a pair of bracelets over a dark-colored arm, bands that cover most of his forearms, and a wide necklace that extends up under his chin and down over some of his chest. And behind the young woman is the form of a beautiful woman, whose long hair and gown are made of water. Fish-like fins in place of ears, blue eyes and pale skin that almost looks blue. Hey Lalapika. Aesir greeted the Heart Kingdom queen. The young black-haired woman cried out in surprise, then fell off her throne and onto the ground. Oh wow. Lalapika groaned. The pale and blue-haired woman sighed, yet smiling. Oh dear, Lalapika-chan. She helped Lalapika back up onto her throne. So clumsy, yet so adorable at the same time. Hello Undine. Gata. Queen Aesir greeted the other two in Heart Kingdom Castle's throne room. Hello Aesir. Gata remarked. Hello Ren. To what do we owe the pleasure of this call? Undine asked. Queen Aesir took a breath before beginning to explain the situation to Lalapika, Undine, and Gata. Queen Evanora of the Diamond Kingdom called me last night and she wants an emergency summit meeting at the Heart Kingdom. Queen Aesir began. As for why she didn't say. So by going off that alone, it's safe for me to assume that something serious happened in the Diamond Kingdom. Did she say what it was? Gata asked. No she didn't, Ren replied. Oh, then how do we know we can trust her words? Undine questioned. Nothing is stopping her from unleashing attacks on the Clover and Heart Kingdoms. After all, I understand your concern, Undine, Aesir remarked. But I trust her words when she called me last night. I didn't know. Undine frowned deeply. I mean it's the Diamond Kingdom. Undine, enough. Ren sighed. We'll hear what Queen Evanora has to say at this summit meeting. If it turns out that she intends to start a war, we'll deal with it then. Alright? Aesir glanced at Ren, then back at the screen before her and Ren. Undine glanced at Gata and Lalapika who both nodded. At that, Undine sighed in defeat. Oh alright fine. Undine spoke in a defeated tone. Thank you, Undine. Aesir smiled. Now then, when? We can do it later today. Lalapika blurted out. Undine and Gata looked like they were about to protest, especially Undine. But Aesir beat them to it. Yes, that'd be great. Aesir smiled. Undine had a look that said, are you kidding me? But no one paid. Said look on Undine's face. Any mind? How does 3 p.m. sound? It's around 11:30 here. She glanced over at Ren. What do you think, Ren dear? Ren put a hand to her chin and nodded. Yes, that can work, she mused. I take it you plan to bring others with us to the Heart Kingdom later today for this emergency summit meeting. At that, Aesir nodded. I do, yes, Aesir replied. Some from the Silver Eagles like Lieb, Asta and Noelle, along with some members from the Amber Phoenix squad, like Valeria for example. At the mention of Valeria's name, Lalovka, Undine, and Gata perked up. Valeria, Gata repeated. How is Valeria? Lalapika asked the Clover Queen. There wasn't just worry in her voice, but also curiosity, as well as excitement. Is she doing well? I haven't heard from her in a while, so that's why I asked about her. Aesir nodded in understanding. Valeria is doing fine, Aesir replied. In fact, she's in the Amber Phoenix Magic Knight Squad, run by Elf Fana's human counterpart, whose name is also Fana. Oh, that's good. Lalapika smiled brightly. Tell Captain Fana and Elf Fan that they can come form your end as well, along with Valeria. Aesir laughed lightly at Lalapika's words. I'll be sure to tell them after our call here. Lalapika dear, Aesir told the Heart Kingdom Queen. We'll be seeing you soon. Lalapika. Ren smiled lightly. Lalapika nodded in response. See you soon, Ren. Queen Aesir. Lalapika told the two women, or rather, half woman half elf for Ren before ending the call between them. After the call to Lalapika, Aesir and Ren contacted the others that Aesir planned to bring with her and Ren to the Heart Kingdom for the emergency summit meeting. Courtney transported Queen Aesir, Silva, Clover, Wizard King Julius Nova Chrono, Asta, Noelle Silva, Lieb, Captain Fana, Elf Fana, along with Valeria Autumn to the border of the Heart Kingdom. She panted, out of breath, and mana. This is as far as I take you. Courtney breathed out. The natural mana here is too intense for me to form more spatial portals. Aesir smiled and squeezed Courtney's right shoulder lightly. It's alright Courtney dear, Aesir told her. I can wait here until the meeting is over. Courtney replied, slowly regaining her proper breathing. By then, my mana should be fully recovered. Aesir smiled lightly. Alright Courtney dear, Aesir told her. We'll meet you back here once the meeting is over. Courtney nodded in agreement, then watched the group go and head into the Heart Kingdom. What the actual hell? They all quickly looked up as Koji pounced in front of them, growling his eyes on Lieb. Why is a devil here? He snapped. Talking wolf? Asta yelped in shock. Koji calmed down. Ren began. With a devil here. Koji demanded with a growl. You especially should know the issue here, Ren. he's an exception. He's officially a member of the Silver Eagles of the Clover Kingdom. Ren explained simply. He's what? Koji questioned. You've got to be joking. Nah, not really. Faye shrugged. Besides, if he hasn't done anything, you know it's fine. Koji blinked at this, glancing at Ren for a moment before he relaxed slightly and sighed. Of bloody course, he muttered. Kek kek. Lieb chuckled. Not like Queen Aesir would let you harm me anyway. Don't tempt the talking wolf, Lieb. Asta hissed. Lieb glanced over at his brother. Then he shrugged. Oh, Koji isn't a wolf. He's an elf. Ren replied. He is? Noelle asked. He is? Valeria answered. His magic is moon magic. This form is actually one of his spells, Ren explained. Koji, release the spell. Koji grunted, but lowered his head and the form dispelled in black moonlight to reveal a male elf. He has pitch black hair with silver streaks, sharp midnight blue eyes, wearing a white shirt, light pants, black boots, and gray wristbands as he stood up facing them. Better? He asked sarcastically. Much. Ren smiled, making Koji scoff. Valeria glanced between the two elves, then looked forward. Let's just get this meeting over with, she muttered. Yeah. Lalapika asked me to get you guys, Koji replied. Come on. As Koji led them to the meeting hall, Aesir turned to Koji. Is Queen Evanora here with her respective representatives? She asked the Blackette male elf, only one of her generals. Koji answered curtly, and they're both pretty bandaged up. Not only that, but a mage from Spade and your kingdom came with her. From Spade? Ren questioned intensely. He's not the issue. Koji spoke to his leader. He's actually a rebel against those bastards. A Spade rebel? Ren questioned, shocked. But I thought Spade was, bad, Asta remarked. That wasn't always the case, Asta, Julius told the young Silver Eagle squad member. Yes, actually. Spade was once ruled by two kind rulers who cared for their kingdom to the best of their abilities. Ren frowned sadly. Yeah, until that coup happened by those devil user psychos. Murdered the king and queen, and named themselves the rulers. Koji snapped savagely. And they not only bring ruin to their own kingdom, but to the neighboring kingdoms as well, like Heart. Koji growled darkly as he said. This while Ren clutched her hands tightly in anger before she sighed tiredly. Which could very well mean this conference is because of a Spade attack in Diamond, she said. That's because it is. They all looked up as they walked in the main room, seeing the ones in it. Lalapika sat at the head of the table, with Gata and Undine on either side of her. Sitting to Lalapika's right were Queen Evanora, Shining General and a Dreyfus, along with the Spade Kingdom rebel, and another black-haired man that wore the Black Bull's cloak over his shoulder. And I thank Queen Aesir for accepting to call Lalapika for me. Who was the attacker? Koji questioned with a frown. And why the attack? Ren questioned. Please take a seat. Lalapika laughed awkwardly. To those not seated yet, after that, Lady Evanora can tell us what happened. They were about to do just that, when Undine stopped. Lieb, what's a devil doing here? Undine demanded. Save it, Undine. Ren scowled. I don't want to hear it. But Undine protested. Then stopped when she noticed the looks from everyone else in the room directed at her. She sighed in defeat and crossed her arms. Oh, fine. But no, I do not like it one bit. Shocker. Koji scoffed, rolling his eyes. Let's hear what happened. Once everyone was seated, Evanora took a breath, then spoke. To answer your questions, Ren. Koji, the attacker was Zenon Zogratis, Evanora began. As for why he attacked for Morris and my mother, that bone bastard. Koji snarled. Morris and the Queen of Witches. Ren frowned deeply. I don't know why the Zogratises need either of them, but, Evanora continued. I can answer that. The Black Bull's member spoke. You see, I've been in the Spade Kingdom for the last 8 years. The Black Bull's member is Nacht Faust. Evanora continued over him. He and the Spade General Rebel, Tyson Hammer, came to my aid just when Zenon was about to finish me and Inna off. That bone magic. Anna breathed. Too strong. No. Not just that, his spatial magic, spatial mana domination spell was ridiculous. That's his devil magic, while bone magic is his natural magic attribute. But thanks to his devil contract, its power and regeneration speed are hard to keep up with, even for light magic users. Ren frowned darkly. Then there's the other 3 Zogratises, Nacht added, placing a stack of papers on the table. Vanica Zogratis, blood magic and curse warding magic. Dante Zogratis, body magic and gravity magic. And lastly, Nacht frowned deeply before continuing. Ava Zogratis, sword magic, and marionette magic. All 4 of the Zograduses are incredibly powerful, and their plan is to open up the Tree of Cliffhoth. What? Ren and Lolopika yelled, shocked and horrified. Undine's face began to pale. Well, paler than what its normal color shading would be. That's, Undine stammered. Very dangerous. Aesir frowned deeply. But how does this connect to the Eye of the Midnight Sun's plan to obtain all the magic stones? Julius asked out of curiosity. They are working together, or at least, aligned together. I want to know why. He put his hand to his chin and thought, the magic stone's power can be connected to the underworld. But this is them we're talking about. They don't align with anyone, Ren frowned. They use people. Koji agreed with a snap. Damn it, this is insane. It'll be hell if they aren't stopped. But why would they want Morris or Lady Evanor's mother? Noelle asked. Kek. Isn't it obvious, sister? Lieb inquired. What is Morris's role? In fact, what is Makuza Nort's role in the Clover Kingdom? He turned to Lolopika, Gata, and Undine. You 3 know what I'm talking about, right? Or do I have to spell it out for you? An apparition of Rogel, Noelle's pacted angel, appeared next to her. Noelle glanced over at Rogel, then back towards Lolopika, Gata, and Undine. A magic scholar, Rogel whispered to Noelle. All 4 kingdoms have one, or should have one anyway. But Spade doesn't have one. They had killed the previous one. Given her loyalty to the former king and queen, Ren frowned. And given how psychotic Morris is, it's no wonder they took him. The tension in the air increased. Silence overtook the meeting room. After several moments, Lolopika spoke. If this is all true, then we must train everyone up as soon as possible. Lolopika spoke grimly. This means an alliance with the Diamond Kingdom. I agree. This is a problem that affects all the kingdoms in the tribe. Ren frowned, Koji nodding in agreement. Now wait a minute, Undine spoke up, looking down at Lolopika. Lolopika, are you sure that this is wise? Diamond Kingdom used to be war-focused. Evanora interrupted and corrected. Regardless, I am in agreement with Lolopika. What does everyone else think? Queen Aesir, Valeria, Tyson, Nacht, both Fanas, Asta, Noelle, hell, even our little silver eagles. Magic Night Devil. Once again, silence overtook the meeting room. After a good few minutes, Valeria spoke up, albeit not with the greatest confidence. I agree with Lolopika. Valeria spoke her 2 cents. It's better if we align ourselves than not. Otherwise, Clover, Heart, and Diamond Kingdoms will be easy pickings for the Zograduses. She is right, Elf Fana said. Yes, Captain Fana nodded in agreement. This'll be very good for my squad as well. Kek. Of course I'm in agreement. Lieb grinned. I've been wanting to get payback on those devil bastards for the longest time. Yeah, we have to protect everybody. Asta nodded. Aesir nodded in agreement at Asta's enthusiasm. A light smile on her lips. Yes, Asta dear. Aesir told the Ashblendette boy. I'm in too. This does affect all of us and for the kingdoms. Noelle nodded. I'm in agreement, Tyson remarked. The Zograduses will pay for this. And you, Nacht? Ren asked. Nacht glanced over each individual in the room, carefully examining them. After a few moments, he spoke. Personally, I fail to see how this alliance will even work, Nacht began, especially considering that there are those here who have committed wrongdoings or have done shameful acts. And then there's those who have done no wrongdoings or shameful acts. He crossed his arms and shook his head. In hindsight, this alliance is doomed to fail. Clover, Heart, and Diamond Kingdoms are too different from each other. And if we do nothing, we die. And if this alliance is our last bet to survive, then it's better than nothing. Koji pointed out with a frown. Nacht turned to face Koji. His light smile turned into a deep frown, his blue eyes narrowing. Then need I remind you that Lolopika's own spirit guardian, Valeria Autumn, abandoned her out of shame, simply because she got cursed too. Valeria tensed at Nacht's words. What's done is done in the past. We need to focus on the here and now in response to this threat, Ren said. Any misgivings can be said after we deal with the bigger enemies at hand. Nacht glanced towards Ren, his frown and narrowed eyes not wavering. And you, Ren, have allowed yourself to be allied with a devil, Nacht told her. Devils are nothing more than beings incapable of emotions. All they care about is destruction and using others. That is your shameful act. Now, Nacht, dear Aesir began. And you, Lady Aesir, what do you have to say for yourself? Nacht pressed. Overthrowing the king of Clover in of itself is a crime. He of all people was no king. Captain Fana frowned. As a Clover citizen you should know. Oh, don't get me started on you. Nak scowled deeply at Captain Fana, which made Captain Fana flinch in surprise. She isn't wrong. The Kira family has done more harm than good for the kingdom. Julius frowned, not caring for the commoners, hiding secrets of the kingdom, practically disregarding citizens below them. We did what needed to be done. You're just going on about self-righteous delusions that suit your tastes and moods. If you ask me, it sounds like someone who paid a high cost for their gain. Koji frowned. At this, Nakt glared darkly at Koji, who glared right back. Looks like I got the nail on the head. Koji snarled savagely. Koji. Ren spoke in a warning tone, making Koji shrug. We're getting off track here anyway. In regards to the situation, it should be the best option for the other kingdoms to know mana method. I've already covered that for the Clover Kingdom, Valeria spoke up, and my captain's elf counterpart has done the best she can to teach the elves special magic technique, ultimate magic, but the Heart and Diamond Kingdoms are another story. Koji, can you and a few of our tribesmen teach them? Ren questioned. Depends if we can find good ones in Diamond, Koji replied. Otherwise consider it done. Evanora raised an eyebrow by Koji's words. What do you mean by good ones? She questioned. I'll be blunt. Not every person can use mana method or ultimate magic, Koji stated. Mana method is a complex algorithm with magic writing, mana control, and magic amplification. Not everyone can master it. And ultimate magic is just as complicated and straining, for in order to use it, you need to gather a large, and I mean large quantity of mana to unleash the spell. With an ordinary human, it's borderline impossible and suicidal. But that's where mana method comes in. By using mana method to utilize the mana, it's possible for even humans to utilize ultimate magic. But unless you can truly learn mana method, you're dead. The two Diamond Kingdom representatives, Queen Evanora Chandler and Shining General Anna Dreyfus, mildly paled at this. Koji leaning back, rubbing his neck. I see, Evanora whispered. She soon recomposed herself. Humph. Regardless, I don't care about the risks. If it means we can become strong enough to defeat our enemies, the Zogratises, then so be it. Fine by me. I'll train you personally. No offense to my fellow elves, but I feel like I'll be the best match to help you. Koji smirked. Please don't torture her. Ren deadpanned, making everyone except Heart citizens sweat drop. It ain't torture if it helps her get stronger. Koji grinned wickedly. Gods, you're just as bad as Marileona. Ren groaned. Evanora glanced between Ren and Koji, unsure on what to say in regard to her words. I can see it. Asir laughed lightly. Huh? I'm not weak, you know. Evanora snickered. We shall see. Wicked Witch of the East. Koji smirked, making Ren sigh. Lalapika cleared her throat to get everyone's attention. If this is the end of the meeting, I'd like for Queen Asir and Queen Evanora to sign a document to prove that our three kingdoms are allied for this upcoming war, Lalapika announced. Gata placed a document the size of an extra-large pizza box on the meeting room's table. Lalapika-sama has already read through this document, Gata explained. So I'd like for Queen Asir and Queen Evanora to do the same. Once you have, sign on the last page. This looks like a contract, Evanora noted. This is the kingdom's first summit in a long time. It's no surprise, Ren replied. When was the last kingdom's summit? Evanora asked curiously. When did the Dumbass King's reign start again? Koji asked. Don't ask me any talk involving him. I'll tune out. Ren sighed, rubbing her temple. Anna, Tyson, Nakt, Asta, Noelle, Lieb, and Julius watched as both Asir and Evanora read the contract. After what felt like 30 or so minutes, Asir and Evanora reached the last page. Once they finished reading, they signed their names on the contract. Lalapika signed after the two, and signed. Asir smiled. Indeed, Evanora nodded. So, now what? Meeting adjourned? Ren suggested. Would be for the best. Especially when I have to get back soon. I'll miss your man already? Faye teased, before he yelped to be slammed shut in Ren's grimoire while she blushed red. Wait, what? Koji blinked. Asir, Asta, and Noelle giggled at Faye's words. Oh, nothing, Koji dear, Asir told him. Even Lalapika found herself chuckling. Yes, the meeting is adjourned, she said. Wait, did you set her up with someone? Oh, come on. I want in. I had to deal with her oblivious head for decades. Koji said. Oi, Ren hissed. I'll fill you in later, Koji. Asir called to him as she left the meeting room with her Clover representatives. I have to get back to Courtney so she can transport us back to Clover. It's nothing. Ren snapped, red face. Like hell it is. I'll find out, I always do. Koji stated. Let's hurry before he makes good on that, Ren quickly said, pushing them out. So, I wasn't invited to the emergency summit meeting earlier today, Ava mused as she looked over the report one of her spies had given her. She read it over again before crumpling it up and tossing into a trash can. No matter. Everything will soon be in place for the next phase of the plan. She looked up at the ceiling of the Spade Kingdom Castle's throne room. Soon, all hell will break loose. Literally. Her lips curled into a dark smile before she laughed. End of chapter 32. Link down to the comments if you want to read the rest of the story. I hope you all enjoy. Goodbye.